This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Most importantly, thanks for listening. This is Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. It's all powered by Bowen Wealth. You can get more when you visit bowenwealth.com, and you can find that and all the information in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. Somebody brings up the name Ted Benna. What does that mean to you, Brandon Bowen?
The godfather of 401ks. He invented the 401, or came up with the idea, I guess. So they invented the 401k. That was back in a wonderful year of 1978 when I was born.
You and me both, brother.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So he invented that. And, in 1984, that's when the federal government implemented the 401k that, there for federal employees. So he had some really good ideas, and then boom, and it started getting traction there. And then we head into the 90s, the Bill Clinton era. That's when the market just went crazy because a lot of companies started switching from that pension to a 401k, but that was not all good as we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So what happened there? Because the godfather, as you say, of the 401k, but he's become frustrated.
Yes.
Because the employees were supposed to cover those fees, but now a lot of these companies, they're charging higher fees than originally.
What a surprise.
Planned.
What a surprise.
I know. A lot of people calling these companies greedy because of these fees. Yeah. How do you help us realize those? And more than that, eliminate some of these fees.
That is with our 401k fee x-ray. Okay. It is basically, I'll pull the curtain back on this stuff and you got like cockroaches running everywhere. Okay. And so it's an x-ray on your, 401k, IRA as well. The worst offender that I have seen, I'm not going to name the company. There was a lady, she's a divorced lady here in Charleston, 62 years old. And basically, in a nutshell, I was able to save her $35,000 a year in fees.
Wow.
$35,000. Mark, can you imagine? That's like a massive pension that she wanted all along, a pension, or you could just keep the savings in your account. Okay.
Yeah, that's 2 trips to the grocery store, $35,000.
Whole Foods.
Right. Exactly.
So, well, for her, finally, she picked up the phone and said, you know what, I'm kind of feeling like there's this massive headwind here. I'm swimming upstream, and it's just, the gains aren't as good in my portfolio. And when the markets go down, I'm going way down, right? And that was because of all of these fees. And so here's some of the numbers. She had saved $1.2 million. Okay. And so when we got to work and looked at it, it was just this variable annuity. Okay. This company was using variable annuities. Now, I do like certain types of annuities, the ones that have no fees most of the time, but I don't like variable annuities because they do average around 3.5% to 4% per year in fees. So what we want to look at here is really 2 major areas. Okay, so you listening, think about it. If you have money still in your 401k, if you're still working and you've got money in your 401k and you're over 59 and a half, because you do have some options at that point. A lot of people can do in-service distributions, rollovers. Okay, so it's not taxable. You can roll it out if you find something more efficient. So yeah, if you've got a 401k or an IRA, these are the 2 areas that I'm going to focus in on when you come into the office. And the first is the administrative fees, these admin fees. Now, these are the fees that cover the cost of the plan. And you've got to there's going to be something if it's a 401k, right? So I get it, but it just needs to be reasonable, right? And so what we want to do is make sure it's a reasonable admin fee. And then with your 401k, a lot of times I also want to make sure that you're only putting in what they match. If there's matching there from your company, well, yes, we need to get every dollar. It's like doubling your money right out the gate. You put in 5%. If they're putting 5% right beside you, well, there you go. You've just doubled your money. So we want to get there as quick as we can. But, if this plan is a little costly, then we want to look at, okay, what are the benefits of, yes, if you want to contribute more, but do we want to do it in the 401k or maybe outside of the plan?
Well, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Talking about these fees in a 401k, you mentioned about you want to match as much as your employer matches. Is there ever a time where you say, listen, these fees are too high? I know they're offering 5%, but maybe we just do 3% match?
No, I haven't. I'm trying to think back. I've never recommended some, because even if it's just a little bit higher in fees, doubling your money is going to be worth it.
Okay.
So it's really.
So that's advice for anybody out there. That's from the pre-retiree to someone who's just getting their first job.
That's right.
Whatever the company offers, you match that.
Yeah. Now, where it could start becoming an interesting math equation is if it's not a dollar for dollar match. If it's like, hey, if you do 5, we do 50 cents on your dollar. Okay. Now we're starting to get, okay, then it might be worth doing something. So bottom line, pick up the phone, you know, let's take a look at this together and find out. And that's what we do is we call the company, we ask, you know, some questions and say, hey, can you put this in writing and make sure they're telling the truth, right? And find out what are the admin fees that you're paying.
Okay. 843-890-2400. Speaking of numbers, that's how you reach out to Brandon and the team at Bowen Wealth. Okay, let's talk about these investment fees.
Yeah, the investment fees. Now, this is super easy. You can, you know, because it's black and white. We go to Morningstar. Okay, we can go online and we start popping in these holdings, you know, put in the ticker symbols, and it tells us right there what the expense ratio is, and that is the cost of this fund. And so here's where we usually see the biggest offender to these plans is we might see expense ratios from 0.5% to over 1%. Okay, now this is on top of any admin fee. And if you have an IRA, then there would be a third category here where it's an advisor fee. Okay. So if you're think about this, if you're paying if you've got an IRA paying a 1% advisor fee or 1.5% plus expense ratios of maybe another 1%, you can see where this stuff really starts to go against you.
I mean, administrative fees, investment fees, now advisor fees. I understand why she was paying $35,000 a year in fees.
And so, when we did that math, I mean, she was paying $45,000 a year in fees. We got it down to $10,000 a year.
Right.
So there's that $35,000 that we saved. And she was just so appreciative. She's like, let's do it. Let's go. Right. I mean, it's almost like I wish I didn't wait till I was 62 years old to wise up to this stuff. Right. And so
that's close to $1 million.
Yes.
Through the life of her retirement.
Right. You think of 35 now in her retirement. I mean, really, she said, Brandon, this is my kitchen remodel.
Yeah.
Right here. I've been wanting to do this, you know, and then maybe a pool in the backyard for my grandkids.
That's
like she was just. She was like, oh my gosh, I've got plans for this money right here. I mean, and it was just, that brings joy to me. I mean, that is why I do my job here, why I do what I do day in, day out, come in, is to help people have confidence in their plan, you know? And really, when you look at these fees, now there's nothing for free, right? You come over to me, like I just said, I mean, we have fees, okay? But we are transparent. At Bowen Wealth, I'm transparent with my fees, and I've got to bring value or you're going to go somewhere else. You have complete control over your money. And so what we're talking about, think of it as like fuel efficiency, gas mileage. So you could get to where you're going. You go on a road trip. Maybe this fall you go up to the mountains or something. You could go in a gas guzzler, or you could go in a nice hybrid.
Yeah.
You're still going to get there, but it's the cost of getting there that we're talking about. Okay, and you can do it with potentially with much less costs going on. And as you get into retirement and you start reducing your risk, you've got to reduce those fees, okay? You've got to, because if you're, you know, putting guardrails up on your money like you should, but you've got some bonds in there and you've got some more defensive positions, well, your returns are going to be much more consistent, but they might average 3 to 5%. But if you don't go and reduce your fees, those fees could be eating up half of your return.
How many times you talked about that 401k fee x-ray that you offer? How many times do you sit down with somebody? They have no clue. They understand, yes, I know I'm paying fees, but they have no clue how many hidden fees are involved in this plan.
Yeah, I would say 80% of the time.
Wow.
Most of the time, yes, people, they have no clue. It's a surprise. It's almost like it offends them, you know, especially if it's another advisor, you know, if they've rolled it, it's like, I trusted them. You know, I mean, it's like, well, they didn't tell me this, you know, but I know they're charging this, you know, an advisor fee. And then when I uncover the cost of, because then I also, Mark, I put right beside it, I say, why would you not? Okay, this is an American funds growth stock fund. I was like, why would we not just go by the S&P? And I pull up the S&P and I show that expense ratio of 0.04% as opposed to, you know, like 0.8 or something. And then we look at the performance difference because it doesn't have that drag of the fee. And it's just like, why would they not be using this one?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is eye-opening. And I just believe, again, this is a way. Your original question to me today is, how do I build trust? This is one way, right? Is we're showing them, hey, if you don't come over to me, I just want you to get help somewhere. Self-manage your money. I don't care, but you're overpaying for what you're getting right now. So I show them ways that they can, address this and self-manage if they want. But then, of course, showing our proactive models in ways that we can help, potentially help them better achieve their goals. Well, then it's a win-win for both of us.
Well, take advantage of it. It's a 401k fee x-ray from the team at Bowen Wealth. And again, this weekend, if you've saved at least $500,000 or more for your retirement, as we put a bow on this conversation about 401k structures, have you sat down with somebody in the past and I'm guilty of this? And maybe you found a couple of orphan accounts, a couple $1,000s in there, didn't know they had, but that's like finding money. How often does that happen?
Yeah, often. They either maybe it was the last few pay periods that have gone in there or dividends that have come in. Yeah, so it's kind of like it's a cleanup, it's consolidating, and it just feels good.
Yeah.
Once you get it done, right?
Yeah.
So bring it in, just bring in all the statements and hey, I hadn't, talked to these guys in 5 years, whatever. Just bring it all in. We'll help.
How we know unless you have the conversation, 843-890-2400, bowenwealth.com. And of course, that number, give the team a call or you can give them a text right now. All right, so you mentioned just a couple seconds ago about taking that road trip. And are you going to use the gas guzzler? Are you going to use the hybrid? Maybe save a little bit of money. A lot of people doing that this time of the year. Leaves starting to change as people want to go to the mountains, take some fall road trips on the calendar. I was at Costco recently filling up. And listen, you talk about like gotcha. You can't get into Costco without getting out under $500.
How do they do that?
It's magic.
It's over 200 every time I go. And I'm like, what? I'm looking at the buggy and I'm like, what? Oh, I guess so. It's like
I came in to get toilet paper and paper towels.
Yes.
I came out with toilet paper, paper towels, a mountain bike, and 4 new tires. Like,
Yes.
How did this happen?
I know. Well, the good thing you mentioned the gas there. I mean, I was just so happy because now you can just use your app on the phone and scan it for the gas, and then you can tap for so I like that because I would never have my Costco card with me. I'm like, oh shoot, where I can't find it. But so I'm glad they updated the app.
Okay, so speaking of the app, so they've raised their prices. We talk about fees for the first time in forever. So a lot of people are annoyed. Membership fees to Costco getting a little more expensive. But Brandon, as you just mentioned, the app now allows you can search your store, your local Costco, before going in to make sure they have everything you need. So you're not just blindly walking around saying, "Oh, let me just see what they have."
Will it tell me what aisle it's on?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I need that.
Whatever it takes to get in and out of that place for
Yes.
the least amount of money. So pretty convenient. I'll give them credit. That's a very convenient option. Let's kind of pivot and talk about what you do for the families you serve, the convenience of using that app. But what about for you? How do you help us make financial planning more convenient?
Yeah, so that is again something that is a byproduct of putting this plan together. And that's what, people have to decide for Costco, right? I mean, if this was the first increase in 7 years, mind you, so nobody likes an increase in the cost, but at least it's been 7 years. And so, if you have a Costco membership, then you're probably thinking, but it's still worth it, right? I like the discount on gas. I like being able to, get the things in there, the flowers, the wine selection, whatever, the meats.
Yep.
So you're still deciding is it worth it for me to still be paying for this membership? So same thing with Bowen Wealth is people have to decide, okay, is it worth it to switch over to join up with Bowen Wealth? What are they going to provide? And gosh, I can think this past week here, these past couple weeks, I've got a new client, and we really, I believe, provided value to him. Let me describe this situation. So they're up in Somerville, okay, and so when they came in, they had money with 3 different firms, all 3 different tax statuses. At all those firms. So as you can imagine, it's everywhere. It's almost like he didn't fully trust anybody. Because it's some here, some there, some there. And so, but I looked at it and we started talking through it, and I said, even with all of those people with a piece of the pie, there was no plan in place for his income. He had a Social Security question. How do I file for this? Because, his wife is a couple years older, but was going to file the spousal benefit, which is not available until he files. So there was like this, it was a pretty interesting scenario for him. So we needed to talk through and work through our Social Security maximization plan for him. His market risk was still way too high, and he had no tax plan. So all of these things going on, and I'm seeing all of this, and it's just stuff from everywhere. So we had to get statements from all over the place. He wanted to retire in 2 years, and I said, I'm so glad you came in. I'm so glad you came in because of where the markets are at. Right now is a perfect time to call a timeout, get things in place, or decide, okay, finally, what do you want to do as you head into these final 24 months of working? Mm-hmm. And what I find is as people get in, they get closer to it, they're like, can I just go ahead and retire? What the heck? I mean, their heart is not in it anymore at work. And if the money works, if the finances can work, it's just, let's go. You do it early, right? So he came in, and a couple interesting things. He had to sign into, he had this online vault for all of these passwords. Okay. So it was interesting. I've never had somebody do that. So they had to log because he couldn't remember all these passwords. So he was having to do that to get everything to us. And it's just very disorganized. Okay. Just and no plan. So what we did after 2 meetings, he decided to implement our plan. Okay. And here's what we did for him is we made a personalized, customized income plan. That's the very first step with every plan. You listening is we have to sit down and build your income plan. I want there to be enough income for you to have that standard of living, that dignity to know that you've always got X dollars coming in. Okay. No matter how big of a crash we have and how many of them. Okay. Your income plan has got to be there. You and your spouse, you've got to count on a certain amount of income. Okay. Then we adjusted his investment risk there, pulled that back just a little bit. And we've got a tax plan for these next 2 years. And then if, depending on what happens with the Trump tax cuts, right, we're going to be watching for that. He totally wants to have like everything over in a Roth IRA at some point. Okay. So we're looking at that. We consolidated his accounts. Okay. So now we're getting better synergy in what's called portfolio integrity. And what I mean there is if you've got multiple accounts all holding similar stuff, well, if certain sectors of the market start really struggling or if the whole market starts struggling, you have no way to go cut that piece out of the plan. Mm-hmm. Okay. If it's just a lot of crossover and where everything's holding all the same stuff. So we had to add integrity there to his plan. So now his accounts complement each other. We've got one bucket that is, pursuing tax efficient growth. Okay. We've got another bucket that's built for income solutions. All great income, okay? And it's very low risk over there. We've got different time horizons. So he knows what valve we're going to start opening first, okay? Which means the other valves and the other buckets, okay, that's going to fluctuate a little more, but we know we don't need them for at least 5 years. So that helps you better stomach market volatility is when you know that it's affecting stuff that you don't really need right now. You know that it's going to be up and down, but today and next month, we're fine. Right. We've got that income coming in. So we've got to assign time horizons to this stuff. It's kind of like, Mark, do you have a friend who's like totally organized?
Yeah.
Like their desk is straight, or you go to their house and their garage.
Yeah, it's my buddy's house. And I look at their kitchen. I was like, mine hasn't looked like this since the day we bought it.
So that's kind of how my kitchen is. And now in part it's because that's Ava's chore is to put the dishwasher, to unload the dishwasher. So I can't complain. But I believe your plan, your portfolio needs to look like that. Let me be that annoying friend that keeps your portfolio nice and tidy. Right. And then things are where they're supposed to be. It's labeled. OK, we're going to label your money, your buckets. It's going to be annoyingly organized. And so you're going to know exactly where we're going to go when we need whatever. OK. And so each thing has its purpose and it has its place. That's what I can do. And that's what you deserve. And if that's you listening and you're like, oh, my gosh, I would be embarrassed to show him all this stuff and where it is and the fact that, don't. Yeah. I mean, I've seen the worst. Mm-hmm. So bring it all, just throw statements in a folder, bring it in here and let me go to work. That is my passion, is then providing a plan out of all of your life savings. You've put in the work, multiple decades. Now it's time to put that plan together so you can achieve the financial independence you deserve.
So let Brandon be that annoying friend that's going to really help you organize your plan.
I'm not really selling myself, am I?
No, I love it though, because I need that help. There are a lot of people that need that friend that get it. You get it more than we do. And it's like you mentioned, you said some people are embarrassed by maybe some of the financial mistakes they've made in the past. We've all made mistakes. It's like when you go to the dentist and you're embarrassed, you haven't flossed enough. You may, know, your teeth may not be as white as they should be. You drink some coffee, drink some wine, and you feel like, oh God, I'm going to be the worst set of teeth they're going to look at all day. Mm-hmm. I can tell you, no matter how bad you think it is, every dentist will say the same thing. You're not even close to the worst that we've seen.
Yeah. Just get in there because you need to do it.
Pretty safe to say that you've seen the worst of the worst.
Yes.
And you can help build a plan, and you can be that annoying friend that organizes our portfolio. Yes. There's nothing wrong with that.
And this is what people can control, right? If you feel like those things were done to you and you didn't really know, now this is what you can control.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.